Hello students, as we people are studying chapter 3 in biology, that is circulation or the lymphatic system. Then here today we are again back with a very important topic, that is single circulation or double circulation. As we know that in many animals, in many small invertebrates or in many other animals, the blood circulates only one time. That means the blood from the heart reaches to body part, and from the body part again back to the heart only one time. Then this type of circulation is called single circulation. Suppose this is our heart, upper body part, and this is the lower body part. The blood from the heart goes back to the lower body part, and blood from the heart goes in one way only, and the blood again and on this circulation only takes place once in a cardiac cycle, only takes place once in one cardiac cycle. Hence it is called single circulation. But what happens in double circulation? The blood reaches two times to the heart. And then to the different body parts. Suppose this is our heart. Heart is having fourth chamber, we already know. And the blood, this is the upper body part, this is the lower body part, isn't it? This is the body part, lower body part, and this is the upper body part. This is the lower body part, upper body part. Heart is having the four chambers. The right one carries the deoxygenated blood, and the left one carries the oxygenated blood. That is called the pure blood. The blood from the right part goes to the lungs, and from the lungs again goes to the right part. Goes to the left part of the heart, and from the left part to the arteries, and through the arteries reaches back to the different body parts. Here the blood is coming two times in the heart, once in the unpure form, another in the pure form. Here the circulation is taking twice. Here the blood is circulating two times in one cardiac cycle. When the blood circulates twice in one cardiac cycle is called double circulation. It's a very important topic. Double circulation means the circulation of blood twice. The circulation of blood takes place two times in one cardiac cycle is called double circulation. Now we will read about lymphatic system. We all know that it is also a very important system in our body. In the last class we have read about blood vessels. It is of three types: arteries, veins, and blood capillaries. The finest one, the smallest one, which is a connecting link between the veins and the arteries, was the blood capillaries. It is a single celled. It is like a hair, and it carries both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. But here also this lymphatic system is also a very important point. Is a very important part, which is also a connecting link between the blood and cells. How? Lymph means water. Lymph means water. It is a water-like fluid present in our body. As suppose we have to travel a very long distance. When we people travel a very long distance in buses, not in train, in buses, because in bus we have, because in train we have place to roam, but in buses we don't have. Sitting whole night at a particular place, putting your legs down, then in the early morning, in the next morning or in the next day, what do you see? That somewhat our slippers or our sandals, our shoes is becoming little tight, and we just notice that there is swelling in our leg part. What is this? How this occur and why this occur? Actually, this is nothing. This type of disorder is called edema. This is a type of disease. This is called edema. Edema is a swelling of the lymph vessels. Edema is nothing. It is a swelling of the lymph vessels. In the lymphatic system, we see that as the blood flows through tissues. Some amounts of fluids and certain solid materials are constantly flowing out of them in the different junctions. Such materials are to be collected and has to be sent back into the blood circulation. So what happens here? We see here that whenever we are sitting for a whole night in a bus journey, we just notice that our feet swells. This type of disorder occurs mainly in the old age people, and hence it is called edema. Edema is the swelling of the lymph vessels. We know that blood circulates in the blood vessels, which is pushed by the heart. The blood circulates in the blood vessels, which is pushed by the heart. Here, the heart pumps the blood. Where does it pump the blood? The heart pumps the blood in the arteries. Arteries pumps the blood into capillaries. But what happens in capillaries? Some amount of blood is pushed out or pulled out. Some amount of fluid which is pushed out from the capillaries without mixing in the blood is called tissue fluid. And from the tissue fluid, this is called tissue fluid when it is coming out from the blood. Now from the tissue fluid, some parts will reach the heart again, will go into the blood, and from the blood some parts will go to the heart and some will go to the lymphatic system. This type of system is only called lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is also known is parallel to the vein system. Lymphatic system is parallel to the vein system. So what happens here, as we know that the blood circulates in the blood vessels, which is pushed by the heart. From the heart, it flows into arteries and finally into the capillaries. It is going to the artery, then from arteries to the blood capillaries to supply nutrients in the cells. Here the blood is supplying nutrients, minerals, salts to the cells. The cell here is known as tissues. And the liquid portion of the blood with nutrients flows out of the capillaries, which is called tissue fluid. The tissue fluid which is present in the tissues should be transported into the blood vessels again. Then some portion of the tissue fluid enters into the venules. Here it enters into the venule, which in turn forms the veins. Which carries blood to the heart. The veins carries blood back from the body to the heart again. Now, what about the remaining tissue fluid? Where does it will go? What will happen with the remaining tissue fluid? Then to transport the tissue fluid into the main blood stream, there is a separate system. That is called lymphatic system. In Latin, lymph means water. As I said earlier, lymph means water. The blood will go into the The blood will go into the blood streams, and the leftover tissue fluid will go into the lymphatic system. This is a separate system in our body where the nutrients and nutrients and minerals goes back to their system, that is known as lymphatic system. Lymph is a connecting link between the bloods and tissues by which essential substances passes from bloods to cells and excretory products from cells to blood. Lymphatic system is a parallel system to the venous system, which collects the tissue fluid from the tissue and transport it into the venous system. And blood is a substance which contains solid and liquid particles. So, lymph is the substance that contains blood without solid particles. In the limbs we have the blood, but solid particles are not there. Tissue fluid is lymph present in the tissues. Tissue fluid is the lymph which is present in the tissue, and the liquid portion about formation of the blood clot is serum. Serum helps in blood clotting. Blood clotting means whenever you get any type of cut in your hand or in your leg or in different body parts, when the blood flows, then there is a thin membrane which prevents the flow of blood from your body. That is only called blood serum. We will read something about skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles. We know what is skeleton. Skeleton is nothing but it is a framework of the bones which gives shape and support to our human body or any body parts. Suppose if there is a skeleton of fish, if there will be no skeleton, then the shape of the body will not be clear. So the muscles which are attached to the skeletal system acts as a pump when they contract and help in pushing the lymph flowing in skeletal muscle or the skeletal system. We know skeleton is something that is the framework of bones which give support to a body. Thus, the muscles which are attached to the skeletal muscles in the lymphatic vessels helps as they are pumping when they are in contact and helps in pushing the lymph flowing in the lymphatic vessels and the blood flowing in the bloods which are flowing in the veins towards the heart. Here this skeletal system pushes the blood to move towards the heart by the help of the veins. The valves which helps in closing of the veins or arteries, the valves that are present in the lymphatic vessels and veins stops the reverse flow of blood. Helps to stop the reverse flow of blood. As the blood from the arteries, from the heart through the arteries goes to your feet, now the blood will not come back into the reverse direction because there are valves which will stop the reverse flow of the blood. Then now the blood through the veins will come back to the heart, and again when the blood is coming back to the heart, then again there are valves to stop the reverse flow of the blood. So this was about the lymph circulation. Now we will read about the evolution of the transport system or the circulatory system. When the unicellular organism, we know that we are having two types of organism. One is a single cell organism or the unicellular organism, and other is the multicellular organism. When the unicellular organisms were when they separated themselves from the sea with the formation of limiting membranes, because then the problem of transportation arose over there. The nature has found the solution then by creating a microscopic ocean which has its own current. That means that when the unicellular organism has separated themselves, then in their body they had a special type of solution to overcome the problems. Like the unicellular organisms, like the amoeba, the protoplasm, amoeba. The protoplasm shows natural movement. This natural movement is called Brownian movement. It is called Brownian movement. The natural movement is called Brownian movement, because of which the nutrients and oxygens are distributed throughout the protoplasm equally, and the simplest intracellular transportation system that is present in the unicellular animals has been retained in multicellular animals also, including the humans. The protoplasm of any cell in our body is mobile. It is very small, and the protoplasmic currents exist even in the nerve cells. The multicellular animals have to develop more complicated system for the transportation of materials. What happens in the multicellular, very complicated system is there. For the transport of material. So the protozoas like sponges. The protozoas, which is like example is in sponges. Protozoas. Proto means first, and zoa means animal. The first animal on land was protozoa. Example, if we take sponges, it is a very soft having body, having osculum and ostia. This is the substratum to which it is attached. This is the osculum part. This is the ostia. This is the minute pores present on the body. Which helps the water current to move inside the body, and through which the water particles, nutrients and minerals goes inside the body through the ostia, and through the osculum excretion takes place. So the example is sponges use seawater for their transportation. Since natural water currents are not reliable, not suitable, then the sponges create their own currents by beating of flagella. If you see some microscopic animals, then in their body we have whip-like structure which helps the animal to move from one place to another. So when we see these animals, they are having one flagella, that is a flagella. In this we can see we are having two flagella, dinoflagellates. By the help of the flagella, the organism can move from one place to another by crawling. We can see that it is crawling. Example is euglena. In this type of animals, we can see the flagella. So the Cnidarians. The Cnidarians, C is silent here. Cnidarian. In Cnidarian, we can see that the better evolved, that the body is more evolved than these sponges. In these sponges, example is the hydra, jellyfish, etc. They have a blind sac-like gastrovascular cavity. Blind sac-like gastrovascular cavity, which has taken up in the function of digestion. In these Cnidarians, we can see that they are having gastrovascular cavity. Which helps in digestion and transportation of nutrients to each and every cells of the body. In platyhelminths, example, if you see, take platyhelminth. These all are invertebrate. As I have discussed in the class, that the animals are divided into two groups, vertebrate and invertebrate. Invertebrate, all the animals, those who are having dorsal tubular nerve codes, having gill slits, comes under the categories of chordata or vertebrates. But those who are not having dorsal tubular nerve cord, gill slits, comes under the category of invertebrate. In invertebrate, we have 9 phylum. The trick I have given you, PPCP, AAA, ME. But another was again there, neither vertebrate nor invertebrate. That was also placed in the invertebrate group, that was the H. So let's discuss. P, P, C, P, A, M, E. I said one more came. So first one was the Protozoa, Podifera, Cnidaria, or Coelenterata. Then was the Platyhelminths. Then was the S helminths. Then was the Annelida, Orthopoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, then Hemichordata. Hemi means half, chordata means half chordate and half non-chordate. Half chordate means the ball in the body part it will have the backbone, but in the tail region it will not have. The example is Planoglossus. If you see in your class 9 book Diversity in the Living Organism, you will come to know about these things. These things you have read in your class 9. So in the platyhelminths, the example is Fascicola hepatica. Fascicola hepatica, it is a scientific name. Hepatica, whenever you are writing the scientific name, the first word of the species name should be capital, it should be underlined, and the first word of the genus name should be in the small letter, and it should be underlined but separately. If you underline like this, it will be wrong. If you write H in the capital, again it will be wrong. So keep it in your mind, or you have written everything correct and you have not underlined, then also it will be wrong. So whenever you are writing scientific name, please note down that it should be written properly, otherwise you are not going to get any marks. In platyhelminths, example Fascicola hepatica, the digestive system is highly branched and supplies digested food to the all cells directly. In these animals, the excretory system collects water from each cell individually. In these organisms, most of the body is occupied by the digestive secretory system. In animals who are belonging to the Nematodhelminths, the pseudocoelom has taken up the function and collection of distribution of materials. Here you got a new word, pseudocoelom. Pseudo means false and coelom means cavity. In the body it is not having cavity, but it is making cavity artificially. It can be seen in the pseudocoelomates. Now we will come to the Annelida section. The first eucoelomate animals have developed a pulsatile vessels to move the fluids and transporting medium in the blood. The first animal which eucoelomate was Annelida. Annelida is having eucoelom. U means true. Cavity is present in the body of the Annelida. In Annelida, if we see it, we can see about if you take an example, the example is earthworm. That means these animals have a well developed pulsatile vessels in their body to move the fluid and transporting medium in the blood. Now we will come to the arthropoda sections. Arthropoda means the animal which are having jointed pores. Example is cockroach, spider, butterfly. They are also having a pulsatile organ to pump the blood to the heart. The blood instead of flowing in the blood vessels, they fills up the tissues, and directly the supply of nutrients takes place to the tissues. Oxygen is directly supplied in the tissues and directly by the respiratory system. Here the blood vessels and the blood will not flow in the blood vessels. All the organs, all the parts will be directly dipped into the blood from where the tissues are carrying oxygen. Such type of transportation system which supplies nutrients to the tissue directly is called open type of circulatory system. Here we have two types of circulatory system. One is the open one, another is the closed one. One is the open system, another is the closed system. Here there is no proper way of transportation of blood from one part to the other part of the body. Here all the organs are dipped or bathed in the blood, and from there the tissues and cells are taking the blood. This type of circulation system is called open circulation system. It is found in the arthropoda. But if you see higher animals, so we have closed type of blood circulation system. If we take the example of a human being, we are having a closed circulatory system. Such type of transportation system which supplies nutrient to the tissues directly is called open type of circulation system. Example is the arthropoda and molluscas and lower chordates. Open circulation system can be seen in arthropoda, mollusca, and lower vertebrates or chordates. Okay, and the other type of transportation system where the blood takes the responsibility of delivering the nutrients or materials from one place to the other by the help of the blood vessels is called the closed circulatory system. Such type of closed circulatory system is present in annelids. Closed, it was about the open one, now the closed. closed circulation system is found in annelids, echinodermata, cephalopods, cephalopods, etc. The flow of blood in a particular way through the blood vessels in which the blood is carrying nutrients and minerals and has to be transported to the different sites in a particular way through the blood vessels is called closed circulatory system. It is seen in the higher animals also and higher animals. Okay.